Alright, so we're checking out a new DJI FPV camera in this video. It's from RunCam. It's called the Wasp. And they sent me this in a bundle. It comes with the RunCam link, of course, which is the air unit light and the Wasp camera. And there's all the specs: 155-degree field of view. It says low latency camera, 120 frames per second, and it has the 4.3 sensor. So the camera itself, you can see here in this is a 5-inch long-range quad. I probably won't be putting a video on this one on my channel. I'll probably go on the second channel at some point. And this is a 19mm camera, so the dimensions are 19 by 19 by 19. It actually has the same lens as the DJI FPV camera, interestingly enough. 1/3-inch sensor. I'm not using the antenna that was included in the kit. This one here. This is a narrower connector here that doesn't fit this TPU part that's on this frame. So I'll just show you why I didn't put it in here. Just using a different antenna, but it doesn't affect the performance of the video and for the comparisons. So this is the first 4.3 camera, I believe, other than the Nebula Pro, the Nebula Pro Nano, and the original DJI FPV camera. It weighs 7.5 grams, so it's I forget what the original Nebula Nano Pro or Nebula Pro weighed, but I think this is around that same, maybe a little bit less. So if I remember, it was 8 grams. This is maybe a little bit less. Anyway, the camera is interesting because it's a 4.3 sensor, but and it's also low latency, so it has the 120 frames per second, but it doesn't have the high quality mode or the 60 frames per second mode, and you can't switch it to 16:9 mode either, like you can for the original DJI FPV camera and the Nebula Pro and the Nebula Pro Nano cameras. Those can all switch from 60 FPS to 120 FPS, high quality mode to low latency mode, 4.3 mode to 16:9 mode. So those are all qualities of those cameras that this one doesn't have. And you can't change any of the camera settings like you can with those other cameras. So essentially, it's a 4.3 sensor, low latency only version of the camera. So if you're mainly interested in the 4.3 sensor, the taller vertical field of view, the wider field of view that you're going to get, and you only really care about the low latency, which is, I think, as low as 28 milliseconds, then yeah, this camera will be free. But if you want to switch to the 60 FPS or the 16:9 mode, then this camera is not going to be for you. I did do a couple of comparisons here for this video. For the daytime, or the basically lots of light daytime video comparison, I'm going to compare the Wasp to the Nebula Pro, and you'll see I'll try and get these to line up as close as possible in the side-by-side here. It's pretty close in terms of image quality. There's some slight differences in white balance and saturation, contrast. You got to do some serious pixel peeping to really notice that much difference. I think in daytime this looks pretty good, and I prefer 4.3 anyway. So between this camera and the Nebula Pro camera, at least for a daytime image, it's almost the same. And in fact, I think they're using the same lens, as you can see here. So I'm not sure how they're getting the slightly larger field of view, the extra 5 degrees, because it looks like it's the same lens. But of course, there might be some different lens elements that may be different on the inside that I don't know about. So that's basically the daytime comparison. For low light, which is another thing that they're touting or they're advertising for this camera, is the low light capabilities of this one. However, the Caddx Polar camera, which is a 16:9 camera and does not have the low latency mode, it's only high quality mode. So you don't get the 4.3, you don't get the low latency that you get in the Wasp. But the nighttime image quality is much better because this is a 60 FPS camera. The lower frame rate is actually better for low light. Most people don't understand that about how camera tech works. The higher 120 frames per second frame rate is actually makes it not as good in terms of low light. You get more noise because they're for the higher frame rate they're bumping up the ISO, so you get more noise in the image compared to the Polar, which is very clear. So in this, again, I'm showing you some side-by-side footage here, trying to get as matched up as close as possible. But it's pretty clear that the nighttime image from the Polar camera is much better. But again, it's a 16:9 camera, only 60 FPS, and you don't get the low latency mode. So again, if those things are important to you, then you got to go with the Wasp and you just have to deal with the extra noise in the image. And let me know what you guys think in the comments below in terms of the video quality of the new Wasp camera. I personally think it's going to be better for those of you guys that only care about 4.3 and the 120 frames per second and mainly fly during the day. Then this camera will be totally fine. I think it's pretty competitive to the Nebula Pro. I don't know what the cost is in terms of buying the camera by itself. Check out the link in the description to the RunCam store. I believe currently it's only being sold as a bundle with the Link air unit, so something to keep in mind. But yeah, the price will be down in the link in the video description. I don't actually know what it is offhand because they didn't tell me yet. But you'll probably know by the time this video comes out because I'll release it when the product is available to order. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Talk to you guys in the next one.